All right, hey everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Market Trading with your host, Tom Vays. I haven't done a video on the price action in a while. Sorry about that. I have been joining Matt McGregor in the mornings on the Financial Summit YouTube channel, so I strongly recommend catching the daily updates over there. I'll try to bring you more videos on this channel occasionally, but over time, over this year in 2024, I'm looking to move all of my thoughts on the markets over to the Financial Summit channel. This channel could become a little more talking about the upcoming election in November of this year as we talk more politics. As time goes on, I start to realize that understanding politics is probably the most important part of understanding how to prepare yourself financially for the future. If you don't have a proper grasp on geopolitical situation, you will not be able to properly protect your wealth. And it's unfortunate that so many people hate my political views, but my political views is what made me a good trader. And it actually took me a long time to realize this, because I started out, yeah, you know your technical analysis, which is great, but then you go down the rabbit hole of gloom and doomers, and nothing good with your portfolio will ever come from listening to gloom and doomers. And only after reading Martin Armstrong's blog for years did I realize that the future of the stock market is all-time highs. And I came to this conclusion over a decade ago, that the path for the stock market is only higher, while a lot of people think it's going to crash. And just the understanding of how fixed income works, the understanding of how currencies work, and ironically, someone like Martin Armstrong thinks Bitcoin is a government asset that could be turned off and confiscated. So obviously, he's wrong. And that took me down the path of Bitcoin because I understood how geopolitics works in relation to the market. So I think it's very important. And this channel will eventually start talking more about geopolitics, because to me, it's super important in order to protect your wealth. Some people don't see that. And also, it will be a way to weed out people that aren't on the same, based view as I am about geopolitical and social issues. That certainly helped me identify where are good investments and where are bad investments on the big picture. All right, having said that, let's go and look at some technical analysis. This is the weekly chart. I just need to real quick, because Zoom once again messes up. Fashion, yeah, you don't want my fashion sense. You really don't. Okay, make sure it's muted. But yeah, I would like for this channel to be more like a personal blog, while any trading information is on the Financial Summit channel, and any Bitcoin information. Yeah, you don't want my. And any Bitcoin information is on the Unconfiscatable YouTube channel, which maybe one day will launch its own network for Bitcoin, just like the Financial Summit is launching a network for trading. Okay. Now, weekly chart is probably the most important right now, even though we're on a daily MRI. So many of you have watched the MRI videos, and you know when there is a critical MRI top, the first and most common assumption is get ready for a 1 to 4 candle correction. We are currently in the middle of candle number 3. So we are pushing the latter half of the 1 to 4 candle correction. So either the market is going to reverse in the next 10 trading days, and the low has already been made, or a low will be made next week. Or if the candle the week of February 5th starts trading below the lows of current candle and next candle, we can now make a probabilistic assumption that the price of Bitcoin will continue to go lower all the way to the next level of support. Now, the next level of support is sitting at 32,000. Now, personally, I don't want to see us go to 32,000. That's a selfish position. A selfish position is, I'm tired of these low Bitcoin prices and I'm finally ready for it to moon so I can go and buy my Lambo, okay? From a selfish perspective, I don't want us to go this low. From a realistic perspective, if I go to the monthly scale, let me back up to the monthly scale. It would actually be super healthy for Bitcoin to fall all the way back and backtest $30,000, which is both the area of the breakout and a critical moving average, okay? So from a long-term structure, Bitcoin to 250,000 structure, it would be very, very nice to see Bitcoin go all the way to 30,000, okay? From a short-term selfish standpoint, I don't want to see us go down another dollar, okay? I want us to immediately reverse. Someone asked me to look at the monthly chart. The monthly chart is actually fully bullish. We are in the middle of an MRI trend. We have just reached, we had our star on the MRI indicator. The last time we had a star on the MRI indicator, we went up before a pullback an additional 30% from the star, okay, before we found the top. We never made it to an MRI top on a monthly scale. Now, if we use the closing price of the candle since the star, we actually also went up 30% since that star. But we went straight down after that, which is a very different top than the top that we experienced back here. Now, I, of course, was bullish over here back in July because I really expected us to reach that MRI top, which never happened, okay? Now, also on a monthly chart, I like looking at the Heikin-Ashi version of candles. And based on this, we are, again, fully bullish and off the green star candle. And it's looking good. It's looking pretty damn good, okay? That's the monthly picture. Let's go back to normal candles. Let's go back to the weekly chart. So not much else to say on a weekly chart. We haven't looked at oscillators in forever. Let's see what the RSI has to say. The RSI is actually still in a bullish uptrend. We hit an overbought level. It would be nice for us to maintain the upwards trend and bounce off of it and then go back to new highs. That would be very nice. What about the MACD? The MACD is on the verge of a nasty crossover. I don't think this is going to be avoided. I think we are going to cross over. Is it possible to have a nasty crossover and then kind of go higher after that? It is, but that didn't really lead to much, okay? These nasty crossovers, especially in positive territory, could lead to some disasters. The last one was in November with massive divergence of 2021, and the one prior to that was, of course, in April. Prior to that, here's an example of where we had one of these crossovers, but we immediately crossed back over. So we can hope and pray and dance to the sun gods that we get one of these crossovers, but this is very rare, very, very rare. This would have been October of 2020, after the beautiful rebound from the COVID crash in March. we had this crossover on the MACD. And the ones prior to that, of course, led to very nasty corrections. In fact, this is the only example that I see that did not lead to a significant correction, where we crossed in positive territory. This one eventually led to a correction after a bit of a head fake back up. So let's take a look at the price between June and July of last year and the head fake in October of 2020. So here's the head fake in October of 2020. No, that's not it. Here is the hell is it? Yeah, so here is the head fake. Let's see how bad the correction was percentage-wise. From the peak to the bottom, interesting. That was 23%. It took about 4 weeks, and it bounced perfectly off of a rising short-term moving average on the weekly, which I believe is now the 20. This looks very similar to today, but there's one big glaring difference. Notice how we fell into the prior swing highs. And the other one I said was in the summer of this past year. That would probably be here. Yeah. So this is the other consolidation. So we are pulling right back here. I believe this correction has already gone for 25%. So we are on par. We've gone 20. So if we pull back to that 20-period moving average, that would match what happened back in 2020 in October. That's very, very promising for a little head fake. However, that pullback had additional support of the prior swing high, and that's not till like 30,000. So it is like that, and it's not like that, because that other level had additional support. Okay, it also was not coming off a second consecutive MRI top, which now adds to the probability that it will be a bigger correction. Yes, I'm only looking for 1 to 4 candles, but it could be a lot bigger and a lot nastier. Okay, allocation. Allocation is staying 50% until we lose the long-term moving average. And if the moving average turns down, there may be time to short Bitcoin. I'm going to try to stick to Consensio as much as possible, regardless of the halving and the 4-year cycle. We'll see. We'll see how it works out for me. All right, where to next? Let's do daily chart. Then we're going to talk about the ETFs and the bleeding that GBTC, the plague of that stopped our bull market, has to say. Now, this is an MRI low or an MRI buy. I use the terms interchangeably because I'm an idiot. I don't know which is better. I don't like, in a way, I don't like calling it an MRI buy because it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you should buy. And I don't like calling it an MRI low because calling it an MRI low doesn't imply that you should even consider buying, right? But maybe it does. So whether I use the term MRI low or MRI buy, they mean exactly the same thing, okay? I just can't find any consistency in my terminology. This is not the perfect MRI buy. The perfect MRI buy would be, I keep going back to this on the other channel. The perfect MRI buy, the one you can trade a lifetime and not see, is this. we've had a few of these. This is the perfect MRI buy. Even if you ignore the fact that it touched 20,000 pullback, even if you ignore the fact that there's a moving average, if you ignore everything and only look at the structure of the candles, drop the moving average, drop alphanumerics, drop all annotations, drop the volume, drop everything, and only look at the MRI. This is as perfect of an MRI buying opportunity as it gets. For those that want to learn the MRI or just everything other than the MRI that I know, it is all right here, products and services, MRI indicator. The price is as low as I can humanly make it at $300. I don't even make money. This channel is no longer even monetized. I've turned off all ads. The only way to support my work is to purchase, at the moment, is to purchase the MRI or to purchase my trading course. I don't have donations. I feel that it's better if I give you something for a donation. And I'm okay without $5, $10 donations. I'll survive. But if you want to support, pick up a trading education video. I think it's one of the best. I've seen what other people teach. I don't tell you when to buy and when to sell. I just teach you to make your own decisions. So if you take the trading technical analysis course, that barely mentions the MRI, you will see that this candle is one of my favorite buying opportunities in all trading. Now, I also teach in that course that the best time to buy is the candle after this hammer candle, when that candle starts to break above the hammer candle. That is the perfect buying opportunity. The fact that it happened on an MRI buy is an absolute miracle. I don't know if Bitcoin ever had a candle this good. We could, go back on the daily chart, all the way back to 2011, and we can try to find a better buying opportunity. And that's why I was so adamant. This candle is close, but it's not as good. Now, what makes this candle a good MRI buying opportunity? The best thing that makes this candle an MRI buying opportunity is the fact how much it crashed in a single cycle. So the MRI count probably started up here, and it crashed 40% within a single MRI count. Okay, there's your red star candle. That is probably the most perfect MRI star candle off the MRI indicator you can ask for. It literally closed as a fresh monthly low, okay, on the daily chart within consolidation, okay? Now, this is even a better plus versus that perfect candle. But what makes this not as good is the fact that this candle itself will not have a positive tone base volume. You can see that the tone base volume here is red. The tone base volume on that hammer candle was certainly green, because this is not a reversal candle. So this MRI buy is almost as good, but not as good. But here is a very good MRI buy. It's happening on off of a perfect reversal candle right after the candle. The reversal candle is not as good as the one I mentioned first, but it's good enough. This is a great MRI buying opportunity. Did it lead to riches and Lambos? It did not. But did it lead to a profitable trade? Barely, but it did. And the number one rule of trading: don't lose money. Just don't lose money. To me, that's the number one rule of like boxing as well. Don't get punched in the face. If you can avoid getting punched, you're going to win that fight. Floyd Mayweather is undefeated because he avoided getting punched. Does he have any highlights? No. Would I rather watch golf than Floyd Mayweather fight? Yes. And I hate golf. But the guy's undefeated and pound for pound, one of the best. I like to watch Pacquiao personally, but I'm not going to deny Floyd Mayweather's greatness. To avoid getting punched, you use the same strategy in trading. You avoid losing money. You avoid losing money, you eventually make money. Also, when I used to play baseball, I think the most useful phrase someone told me is you try to stay alive and just try to get a single every now and then against the good pitchers, and you punish the bad pitchers. And that's how you make the Hall of Fame. You're not going to be hitting home runs of the best pitchers going up against you. You're going to make the Hall of Fame by punishing the bad pitchers and just staying alive against the good pitchers. Don't let them embarrass you. Now, here is an excellent, absolutely excellent MRI buy opportunity. Absolutely excellent. Yes, the closing low happened 2 candles earlier, but the price low happened on the MRI candle, and it rallied massively. This is indication of strong buying that led immediately into an MRI top. Is it as, easy to recognize in real time? No. In real time, this candle looks very, very ugly, especially when it's sitting at the lows. Just when you thought that you were entering up here earlier in the day, and then you could have gotten stopped out. So in hindsight, that's a beautiful candle. In real time, that's a nasty candle that can get you in a lot of trouble. And this is also a nice MRI daily buy inside a weekly MRI buy that unfortunately did not lead to riches and fame. One of those rare misses by the MRI. It doesn't happen often. And on a weekly scale, it just reversed the week after. Now, on a weekly scale, this is going to look beautiful. I'm not going to go back any further, but those of you that have the MRI, feel free to look back. This indicator, unlike Elliott waves, does not change retroactively. This MRI, whether good or bad, will be here forever. Okay? Mm-hmm. Toropodal, good to see you here, Ben. Okay, I'm going to go to the weekly chart in January of 2022 because I'm really curious. Weekly chart. Let's go to January 22. Wait, what am I missing? Oh, yeah, right here. So, yeah, this was an unfortunate MRI. This is not... yes, I would have tried to take a stab at the long trade, and yes, it would have been a losing trade. I remember this time period. This was very difficult for me to navigate. If you go back to my videos, you will see that this time period was one of my most difficult challenges to guide my followers through. I did the best I could, but it was incredibly challenging for me. I'm sure there are YouTubers that have called every single dollar move in this area perfectly. For me, starting with that topping candle all the way through here was very, very challenging to navigate. Everything became clear in May of 22. And in May of 22, I would have been a huge bear. But everything here between November of 21 all the way until May 22 would have been incredibly difficult for me to navigate with a break of both moving averages of a green star candle to an MRI candle that led to a huge drop, the candle after, that then stopped the drop. Everything here was a nightmare for me to manage based on my trading system. Does this happen often? No, it doesn't. That's why it was a nightmare for me to navigate. But since then, I've been able to navigate this pretty damn well. And I think I've called all the moves fairly accurately since then. All right, getting long-winded here. Daily chart. So what are we doing now? Those of you that watch the Financial Summit YouTube channel know that I took a long trade this morning. Now, this is mock trading. Only pride is on the line. I'm going heads up against math. We have certain rules. This is just a simple indicator that shows you your profit loss based on, you just enter your initial starting capital, you enter your leverage, and off of this capital, and then you input the price, and it just shows you the numbers. So if you enter a leverage of 3, it will basically triple your initial capital, and that's how much trading power you have. We are factoring in P&L. The trades we take, we have to hold until next show. There's no stop losses. There's no profit takes. It's more fun than for real, but it's a good exercise. Now, I went long for the next 24 hours. I also went long yesterday for the last 24 hours, and I lost the trade to Matt basically by losing $10 in the trade. And Matt made like $5 in the trade because he went short and I went long. And 5 minutes before the show opened, had we done the show 15 minutes earlier, I would have won that day's battle. But 5 minutes later, we fell like $10 or $20 below our entry price, and we enter at the same price. So why did I go long? I went long for one and only one reason. I trust the MRI. That's it. I trust the MRI. Now, if we look at the disaster formerly known as GBTC, they are bleeding a massive amount of Bitcoin. They are selling Bitcoin like it's, I don't know, spoiled bread. Okay, that's how they're selling it. Here are their sales from day to day. They have sold almost 100,000 Bitcoin in less than 10 trading days. Okay, I think they are selling again like crazy. In about 4 hours, you will see the number from the day before selling. The most recent buying of all the other ETFs has become abysmal. You can see how since the first day of buying, the trend is down. The most was bought on earlier last week. Okay, early last week, that was the big buying power. Now, yesterday, only 6,000 Bitcoin was purchased. And it's very possible GBTC is going to be in this $500,000 category of Bitcoin, 500,000 Bitcoin category, meaning that GBTC might be selling 20,000 Bitcoin today. So I am incredibly impressed that the Bitcoin price has not crashed lower. Now, there's multiple reasons why GBTC is bleeding and selling Bitcoin. There are more sellers of GB. No one wants to hold this shit. Everyone wants to hold either a better ETF, or maybe they're buying into mining stocks, or maybe they're just waiting for the price of Bitcoin to bottom out, or maybe they're waiting for the halving. But right now, but in general, not just now, when prices go down of an asset, everyone waits and tries to buy the low. So the buying pressure is not stepping up to Bitcoin. So there is massive selling pressure. Now, how do I get these numbers? I am manually going to these links, same links as this. I also want to make sure that they have, you know, that the number of shares equals the number of Bitcoin that they're holding. Number of shares of the ETF matches the amount of Bitcoin that backs those shares. And I go to all of these links manually. You can see them. This is why I have a million tabs open. But you can also go to CryptoQuant. They have this data as well. I personally really like CryptoQuant. I was on their YouTube show the other day. And there is a link to CryptoQuant in the video description. It's a Financial Summit link if you want to help out the Financial Summit team and with an affiliate link. Please do so. By the way, signing up for your favorite content creators' affiliate links is a way to help the content creator. Making YouTube videos and is not free. It's actually expensive from both time and money if you're going to hire people. And one of the best ways is if you're going to purchase a product or you're going to use a product or a service is to use the affiliate links. So there is a link to CryptoQuant in the bottom of this video. It's also in Financial Summit videos. So if you are interested, you can try it out. They might have a free trial. Check it out if you need the data. They post really cool charts. This morning, they posted this chart that worries me quite a bit. It's a chart of how much Bitcoin is entering the derivative exchanges. And in almost all cases, whenever these spikes happen, they tend to create selling pressure instead of buying pressure. The only examples of buying pressure are back here in October, and it was an area of a breakout. So this is likely the result of people sending money to the exchange in order to take on leverage bullish trades. That is very rarely the case in a downward trending market. In a downward trending market or at the peaks, extra Bitcoin being sent to exchanges tend to lead to selling pressure. So this is concerning me quite a bit. So my indicators, I'm going to hand off the code of my indicators to the Financial Summit team, and they are going to make them public. Again, everything costs time and money. I'm not managing the Financial Summit. I know a lot of people think I am, but I'm not. Clearly, I'm not doing all the research for the Twitter handle. And there's going to be producers. There's going to be hosts of the YouTube shows. I just want to be a guest. I want to simplify my life. I just want to be a guest. I want to be like that, what do you call it? Zima robot from Love, Death, Robots. I just want to go back to the beginning of my YouTube career where I was just a humble guest on other people's shows like the World Crypto Network instead of being in charge. So if I open the moving average forecast, and I do need to sit down with a Pine developer that hope that the Financial Summit will eventually hire and just go through it so that it does exactly what I want to do. Now, the reason why I have the moving average forecast is because I want to see where the moving average is headed for the next 3 candles, assuming the price does not change for the next 3 candles. Now, someone built me this, and it actually has multiple sets of moving averages. It has a daily and a weekly, and I have to refresh my memory of how this would work. So if I use this indicator on a weekly time frame, it's supposed to show me these moving averages, the weekly ones. And if I use it on a daily time frame, it's going to show me these. So if I switch this particular chart to the weekly time frame, you will see that the moving averages will become 7, 15, and 50, okay, weekly. The daily is 50, 128, and 20. So let me go back to the daily time frame. So it allows me to have 2 different sets of moving averages. If I'm flipping this chart from daily to weekly, now I don't do that. The reason why I have a million tabs is because instead of me switching from daily to weekly, I literally have a saved daily version where my annotations remain daily, and on a different one, my annotations remain weekly. So when I open this moving average forecast, so I'm sorry, this is not the moving average forecast. This is a different one called triple moving average, because one person built me one and another person built me another. And I don't want to confuse people. The main thing I wanted was the ability to project the moving average forward. And I know some Pine script, but I'm busy, so someone wrote it for me. So these moving averages serve the same function. This one you can see is a lot simpler, okay? And a different person wrote it. So I think I just made everybody more confused. So if I go to my favorite indicators that I've starred, you will see that there is a triple moving average forecast, triple MA forecast, and triple moving average. This is the triple MA forecast. Then there is the triple moving average, and then there is the moving. So sorry, I don't use this one. Triple moving average. I have to remove that. That doesn't have the projection. Then there is the moving average forecast. This one. See, the moving average forecast was literally written by one of my good friends, and I think is the same person that wrote the MRI for me in Pine. And it's not publicly published. It's just code, right? This one was written by another person. So this you can probably find. You can find the triple MA forecast. You can just search for it. YAT Trader 2. Okay. So if I add the triple moving average forecast, this one, you see it created different moving averages because the defaults are 7, 15, and 50. On a weekly scale on this chart, I use the 20, the 50, and the 200. So if I do this, they're going to be in line. See, they disappeared because they're the same thing now. See, same thing. They're identical. So I was just using the old one. I should go to MAF and in the code, and look, I'll show you the code. Like, it's not a big deal. It's not like these things are, it's not like I'm hiding anything. It's fairly simple. And you can just write short title MIF just so that it takes up less space and doesn't block my charts. Okay. So one day this will be released through the financial summit. We'll get there, I promise. I know I've been promising for like 4 years, but eventually when the financial summit company starts making some money, people can be hired. So I can switch to MAF, close, get rid of the other one. I just have to, you know, I like seeing thick moving averages and visibility. I shouldn't be doing this on live camera. I'm just like boring the shit out of everyone. My daily moving averages. I personally like the 50, the 128, and the 200. But when I change this, it won't alter this because I'm on a weekly time frame. Now, the reason why, well, let me first make this thicker. Oh, shit. Okay. I got to make everything thicker. Let me just do this, the long term. That's all I really care about. I made it thicker, but oh, those might be the plots. Short-term MA. I made it ticker. Thought I did. Right. Anyway, I'll play around with it later. It's fine. I'll make them ticker on my own time, not on your time. So those are the moving averages. I get off on tangents, guys. Can you share which CMF indicator you are using? Again, it's my own personal CMF. I hate the base CMF. It's nobody's. Once again, if I open indicators and I go to favorites and I go to Chenky Money Flow CMF, you're not going to see a source. This was never published. It's my own. It's just my own. Because I wanted it to look like this. Red below the line, green above the line. That's how I wanted to see it. That's how I learned to trade with it. And again, eventually we'll release it publicly. Now, the one that pisses me off the most is the Arun. I don't think I ever made the Arun. I did actually. I did have the Arun made. And the Arun, my Arun, has the correct parameters. No, it doesn't. It does not. Maybe it's not my Arun. It's the stock Arun. That's right. I need to build my own Arun. The creator of the Arun purposely made it with a length of 25 as the default. And TradingView still, like no one's told them. On the, I'm just going to drop it here. On the S&P, I always use the Arun. I love the Arun. But I need to build my own with proper defaults. And I like green and red lines. So, I do plan to take some time one day with a proper Pine developer and go through and help the Financial Summit brand build proper indicators with proper default parameters and make them all public and free. All right, enough tangents. Where are we going next? My moderators, Q&A chat, please. Have you seen anything? I haven't been looking to the live chat. Opt1, are you in Panama, brother? If you are, hit me up. Okay. Wait, where's my Q&A chat? Let's look at other markets. I need to beat math by tomorrow morning because we're now tied in scores. The critical day of January 23rd has come and gone. So far, January 23rd has been the low price for Bitcoin. So it would be absolutely incredible if this price is not supplanted to the downside ever in the history of Bitcoin again. And I will then claim victory that this date was actually critical to Bitcoin. And the next critical date we are waiting for is March of 2026. March of 2026. That would be very, very interesting. Natural gas. Oh, man. Natural gas was doing so good earlier today, and it got smacked down. Wow. Natural gas has been puzzling me. Other than the MRI top, it's been a very other than the MRI, it's been very difficult to navigate. I believe that once natural gas establishes itself back above the moving averages, it should rise. Oh, let me get back to one last thing on the moving averages. This is the daily chart. I'm only looking at the 20 period moving average on a daily because the 200 is just too far away and is useless. When the 200 is a lot closer to where Bitcoin price is, I'm back to using the 200 and I don't care about the 20. So once again, this historical buy, I mean, maybe your kids will have a better opportunity to buy Bitcoin at some point, but I think this is the greatest buy this decade for Bitcoin because it also happened off of two critical moving averages, not just one, with a reversal candle, with the MRI, and with a round number, and with a back test. This was unprecedented. And I don't know if I'll ever see another buying opportunity that good in Bitcoin from a short-term trading perspective. So this is why I am using the 20 period at the moment, and I'm just lazy and I'm not going to put them in order because I don't care. Oil, holy shit, what happened this week? Let's go and see if the Biden administration is still buying oil. This is an important topic to me of understanding what's going on. No way in hell would I short NASDAQ. We have another data point, the 19th of January. Let's put it to our spreadsheet. News just dropped. CZ, you want to be more specific? The Biden administration has bought 1 million barrels of oil. U.S. files notice to sell 130 million of Bitcoin seized from Silk Road. Shit. They still have that much? Yeah, the U.S. government is not doing us any favors. This should 100 million. Well, how much is that, right? So 130 million. So let's add 3 zeros, and we're going to divide that. So to make it 130,000, we're going to divide that by 40 instead of 40,000. And I forgot to put an equal sign. That is 3,250 Bitcoin. Not a big deal. It sounds like a lot, but it's not. GBTC sells a shit ton more than that. So in the last 2 weeks, GBTC has sold 95,000 Bitcoin. So the government selling 3,000 Bitcoin is not a big deal. Sorry. Not a big deal. Sean, yeah, that's not going to be soon. That's going to be a long time. Trust me. It's going to be a long time. Still a lot of bad actors holding Bitcoin. You want to see the worst one? You want to see the worst one? If you go to Bitcoin treasuries, this right here, block one. Block one has 164,000 Bitcoin. Do you know what block one is? Block one is the EOS Foundation. Exactly. That's EOS. idiots that bought into Dan Larimer's scam to purchase the EOS token gave this organization 160,000 Bitcoin, and they still have them. I don't believe Ukraine has 46,000 Bitcoin. China, shit. Yeah, see, the US sitting on 215,000 Bitcoin, them selling 3,000 Bitcoin is not really a big deal. This is the problem. The problem is El Salvador only has 2,000 Bitcoin, and the United States government has 200, China has 200, and Ukraine doesn't have 46,000. Trust me, Zelensky might have 46,000 Bitcoin, but certainly not Ukraine. Oh, shout out to, before I forget, shout out to the Bitcoin halving party. I will be here in El Salvador from 3rd to 5th. After El Salvador, I am heading to BitBlock Boom, but there's a but coming. Oh, I'm waiting for something to load, but I forgot I'm on the wrong one. But there's a couple of days right here that I'm still trying to decide where to go. And somewhere between El Salvador and BitBlock Boom, I might hit up a nice little beach secluded island and hang out with some friends. So if you are at the Bitcoin halving party and you are then traveling to BitBlock Boom and you are trying to figure out what to do with these days and you watch this channel, so you're a fan of mine, and you're going to be at both of these events, hit me up because I am looking for something cool to do. I have some ideas, and we'll see. But I'm not going to say what they are until I show up there, and then I'll stream from there. So, yeah, and it's going to be a tiny group, like maybe a dozen people at most. I'm not looking to make a conference out of this. I just want to get away, play some poker, smoke cigars, and relax on the beach. It might just be in Alzante, but I want to see another country. So somewhere in between El Salvador and Texas. I want to add another pin to my travel map, a country I've never been to, but somewhere on my way from here to here. So the Bitcoin halving party is going to be fun. It's an all-inclusive resort. It's going to be a similar-ish experience to what the Financial Summit is, but the Financial Summit is a lot more high-end and with a lot smaller people. This is probably going to be 200 to 400 people in El Salvador versus something like the Maldives. But I really like these kinds of experiences, so I will absolutely be there. You see me right there. Purchased my room this morning. We'll get my flight soon. It's only a 2-hour flight from Panama. And here are the other events I will be at in April. I am not doing events until April. Also, a little gap right here between Dubai and London. I might actually go to the Maldives. I gotta visit some venues. You guys think it's fun going to the Maldives and to pick out the resort? In reality, it's going to cost between $5,000 and $10,000. Like just traveling between one resort and another in the Maldives is like $500 to $700 because you can't just travel from one resort to another. You have to travel back to the airport and then travel from the airport. And most of them is by seaplane. Each seaplane costs like $500. So it's like, oh, Tone's going to go to the Maldives for 5 days and check out 4 or 5 venues. In reality, that's a $5,000 to $10,000 expense in order to help make the Financial Summit the best it can be. Stony, I would absolutely head up the Monkey River if I go to Belize. Like if there was an Anaconda River in Brazil and someone did a tour there that has a track record of keeping people alive, I would totally do something like that. Or I may go somewhere, or I may go west to get closer to the UK. As you guys know, I don't like Europe, but I like Portugal. So if you're going to find me anywhere in Western Europe, it will likely be Portugal. Otherwise, places like Hungary, Serbia, Croatia, the Eastern Bloc of Europe, I like. The Western Bloc of Europe, I can't stand with the passion of 1,000 suns. So other than Portugal, you're not going to find me chilling in Europe much. I'm not going to get into stock warrants, guys. I have never traded stock warrants. They're like options without free markets. If you're going to trade stock warrants, you're better off learning options. I have an amazing options course. It's a little more expensive because it's very dangerous to trade options. So it took a lot of effort to put that together and explain. You can find that here. Okay, moving on. I know it's taking forever. I may break the record for the longest stream. I am going to cut it in 15 minutes, though. Hold on, let me make some more space. Correlation. Not much of a correlation now. Bitcoin is on its own. S&P 500 on a tear again. I'm bullish the S&P. I'm bullish the NASDAQ. I'm bullish pretty much stocks in general. Lugano, Switzerland. I don't want to go to Switzerland. I don't usually look at the 100-day moving average. Do I think we will have a civil war soon in the US? I've only been talking about it for 5+ years. My ultimate goal is, did you guys see this trailer? Hold on. Civil War trailer. Saw this the other day. And like it's a Hollywood movie about an upcoming American Civil War. They give away way too much at the end. Like this trailer like gives away way too much of the movie. But the funniest thing in the beginning of the trailer. So there's one awesome part in the trailer, and then there's one absolutely like insane, crazy part in the trailer. I'm just gonna play it. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but just the beginning.
19 states have seceded. The United States Army ramps up activity. The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance. The interim president assures the uprising will be dealt with swiftly. Let me know if you want to try anything on. I'm as aware it's like pretty huge.
So you heard the Western forces and the Florida Alliance with 19 states are seceding from the US. So it's a trailer for a movie called Civil War. But here's the funniest part.
Just I'd stay out with what we see on the news. Seems like it's for the best.
Citizens of America.
Can you guys hear
The
it?
so-called Western forces of Texas and California.
You heard that? Western forces of Texas and California. The Texas will never ally with California to form an army to secede from the US. That's never going to happen, right? They could not be any different. Now, if California broke up, between the communist north and the somewhat north, meaning everything north of San Diego and the San Diego region. I can see that, right? And that's actually important for secession. And I'll explain why in a bit. So there's no way the entire state of California and Texas will ever form an alliance, okay? Though though Texas is becoming California, it's still hard. And then here's the best part. This part is great. It's towards the end. I think it's too theatrical. I mean, it is Hollywood. Maybe they added California because obviously the movie's out of Hollywood. So they have to pretend like they're on the right side of history.
But here we are.
There's some kind of misunderstanding here. What? Well, you're American, okay? Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
So that part was great. It's like, we're American, and clearly he's from Texas. And he's like, well, what kind of American? So I'm probably going to see this at some point. But this is not realistic. So the reality is, I do believe the US is going to break up. But let's go to the Google map. And here's what I mean. I am going to get back to the charts in a minute. So it's my Panama map. It's good restaurants around here. There's El Salvador. I've been there. The problem with secession. So I believe that, well, the South, Florida, Texas, every state in between, plus New Mexico, plus Arizona, will look to secede from the United States, okay? The problem is that if you do that, your new country will not have access to the Pacific Ocean. And access to the Pacific Ocean is very important. The United States is in an incredible geographic position. Not only is the United States able to access the European and the African markets with its, on the East Coast, it's also able to access the Asian markets on the West Coast. And sea shipping is actually very cheap to ship things by sea, unless, the climate crazies have their say. The problem with secession is that the South, without Southern California, will be at a huge disadvantage because they will not have the ability to trade easily with the Asian countries. And now they are once again dependent on the Panama Canal. Now, I live here in Panama. The problem with the Panama Canal is it is being grossly mismanaged. I don't want to talk too much shit about Panama. I do live here. Let me not be the next Gonzalo Lira of Panama. But, and I do like it here. But when the Panamanians took over the Panama Canal, and I understand why they would, because why would you want the United States have control of your Panama Canal? The problem is when the United States had control of the Panama Canal, it was a lot better managed. So, and I live here in Panama, so I know how, certain things are around here. Let's just say I wouldn't be surprised if the Panama Canal just stops functioning, like at all. And if the Panama Canal stops functioning, some country is going to invade Panama, because this is too important to the world. And this is why the United States will never allow another country to take over Panama. And this is why the United States will never complete the road between Panama and Colombia. There's something called the Dorian Gap. This is some of the thickest, most impassable jungle in the world. It's right here. It's between Colombia and Panama. Colombia and Panama used to be one country. This used to be Colombia. But without the road, Colombia was not able to defend Panama when Panama sought independence from Colombia, and the United States was more than happy to help Panama get its independence and in order to take over and build and control the Panama Canal. And had there been a clean road from Colombia to Panama, this may not have happened. So as this road stretches from like Alaska all the way down to the tip of Argentina, you can just drive, except this. Now, building this road is actually a fucking nightmare. It's actually easier to build roads into the center of the freaking Amazon. Like even Amazon kind of, I think even Brazil did it, right? Like there's roads all through Brazil jungle. There's roads, okay? I mean, maybe over here there's not. This is probably equally as challenging, like right here. But this is an absolute geological nightmare to build a road through, right here specifically. The jungle will swallow up your road faster than you can build it. It needs to be maintained daily. I'm not going to get into the whole geology and geography of this. But the Chinese can do it. I'm sure the Chinese can do it. With current technology, get the Chinese in there, they'll build this road in 1 year. 1 year, there'll be a road. They can do it. The United States is also incompetent, but nowhere near to the level of what I've seen here in Panama. So in any case, it is vitally important that this part of California gets annexed. I mean, no one wants freaking LA, right? But this area here is vitally important. Now, it will cut off the North's ability to trade with Mexico. And the North loves Mexico. I mean, they're just importing everyone from Mexico, right? So in a way, if I annotate this, in a way, if, say, the South was to annex this area, now the North has a problem. I mean, the North kind of has a problem and it doesn't have a problem. So if that part is annexed, oh shit, I can't zoom out. Now it becomes a lot better for the South because they have a trading outlet. Now, the North would actually be happy. The only reason why the North is, bringing in 8 billion migrants every month into America is because they want to dominate the Democratic vote. But if the South was to secede, the North becomes a Democratic vote anyway. So now the North doesn't need all of the migrants in order to sway the elections. So they don't actually need them anymore. So in a way, if the South was to secede and annex San Diego from California into their secession, in a way they'll be doing the North a favor. And all of these, Portland hippies will just have to work for minimum wage. I don't know what the hell they're going to do, but I don't know what the end goal is of the migrant invasion. I think it's all done for political reasons, but also maybe they want cheap slave labor. I have no idea. I mean, the Democrats were the slave party, right? So I'm not surprised they would want cheap. And it's not Mexicans coming over the border either. It's Venezuelans and Cubans and people from Africa. It's people from very poor countries. Okay, how do I get rid of the annotation thing? Clear all drawings, right? So it's not even Mexicans coming in. It's everybody else from countries. Mexico is a first world country, but people from Nicaragua, people from not El Salvador anymore, people from Nicaragua, people from Guatemala, definitely Venezuela, you know, and migration from Africa, migration from the Middle East. I'm not an expert on Antarctica, guys. I have not gone down those rabbit holes. The rabbit holes in Antarctica are, I don't think there's bigger rabbit holes than figuring out Antarctica. From it being the continent of Atlantis to them having pyramids 100 times the size of the Egypt, to aliens are there, to flat Earth, and it's just like a ring around the planet. Like the rabbit holes going to Antarctica. Oh God, I can't believe I mentioned flat Earth. Last time I mentioned flat Earth, there was a massive debate where I thought people were going to fly to each other's cities and actually start their own civil war. I have a degree in geology. I am not a flat earther. Let's start there. I do believe the Earth is round. I am fairly convinced of that. I'm kidding. I am 110% convinced that the Earth is round. Not a perfect circle, but close enough. One day a flat earther is going to have to explain to me how the Japanese flew their little airplanes to Hawaii in a flat Earth society, in a flat Earth structure. Please. Okay, where were we? Let's get back to the markets. Now, no, last comment on secession. Do I think there would be a military intervention? I do not. I do not believe there would be bloodshed like in the movie at all. The reason I don't believe that is because the military will be in the South. That's where the military is. The woke hippies of the North. And I use the word North loosely, like Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, other than the communist city of Minneapolis. These are all red. This is all red. So none of, like, there's nobody going to the military from New York, California, or Chicago. The military is in the South, or the military will move to the South and defend the South. This will not be a civil war. And by the way, the US Civil War, I think it's incorrect calling it a civil war. A civil war is two different parts of the government fighting for the control of the entire government. What happened in the 1860s was a secession war. It wasn't really a civil war. I know I may sound like a total idiot, but a civil war is what happens when you have, let's say, two equally or somewhat equally matched groups that want to control the entire country. The South just wanted to get the fuck out. They didn't want to control the North. The South wanted to leave, okay? So they weren't fighting to kill the people in the North, to control the northern states. They just wanted to get out. So it's almost incorrect calling the Civil War of America a civil war. It was a secession war. Same thing that's happening in Ukraine. And the states should have the ability to leave the Union. They voluntarily joined the Union. They should all be allowed to voluntarily leave the Union. But back in 150 years ago, the North had the military. The military were people from the North. But now the military is in the South. So if the South wanted to secede and wanted to leave, there is nothing the North can do to stop it. Absolutely nothing. The North does have control of the nuclear weapons, but they're not going to nuke the South. They're not that crazy. Well, let me not go that far. The stock market in case of civil war, that's interesting. Probably not. It's a great thought experiment and a good discussion. I can make the argument that the stock market will rise, but it's not going to be in the S&P. Remember, these companies don't have to be American companies. These companies can just go offshore, or they can go public on the Bitcoin blockchain. And these companies are going to be making a lot of products that people are still going to use. There'll definitely be fear. The US dollar will crash. So the stock market will have to be measured in a different currency. If the US goes to civil war, the US dollar will implode. The US dollar will be gone. It will collapse. But doesn't mean that the stock market's going to collapse. But the dollar will. All right, the last thing I want to look at is Bitfarms. Bitfarms pulled back very nicely into the $2 range, hitting a moving average and the prior swing high support. I like it here at $2. And it had an MRI buy, beautiful, along with Bitcoin, off a reversal candle. This is promising. I don't like the candle itself, but I do like Bitfarms here. All right, guys, this video has gone on like an hour and a half. I'm going to end it here. I didn't talk about Russia, Ukraine. Russia is having massive progress on the front lines. Absolutely massive progress. I'm just going to point you to an older video, probably one of my best videos. Before I do, though, please follow the Financial Summit. We do morning videos. Myself and Matt McGregor of Alpha Numerics. There will be more content coming to the channel. Please subscribe. We're already up to almost 3,000 subscribers. It's great. The views are nothing like the views on this channel, but eventually all my financial content will be there. So follow the Financial Summit media handles. Oh, what happened to the... there was like Instagram and everything up here. Need to add that back in. Okay. So yeah, follow the Financial Summit, guys. And you can pre-register for the Maldives in March of 24, 25. Hopefully civil war won't start by then. The Nuremberg Code is a joke. The International Criminal Courts, The Hague, everything that happened after World War II, it has become a joke. No one takes it seriously anymore. Between Russia, Ukraine, and mostly what's happening in Israel with Israel, Gaza, it's a joke. The Nuremberg Code, no one gives a shit. It's an irrelevant piece of paper. You can throw it in the garbage. No one cares. No one's held accountable. Genocides are going on. It's a piece of trash. Almost as bad as what they've done to the Constitution. No, I'm sorry. Worse than what they've done to the Constitution. The Nuremberg Code is a complete joke. It wasn't a joke when it was written, but it's being treated like as a complete useless joke. It bothers me so much that anyone thinks that any country cares what that Nuremberg Code says. And the United States doesn't hold countries accountable to the Nuremberg Code. Neither is Europe. And you see this when you compare and contrast what's happening in Ukraine and what's happening in Gaza, Israel. No, this channel is too political. I will never put this content on Financial Summit. I don't want that channel banned. By the way, in Russia, Ukraine, it's mostly Ukraine that's breaking the Nuremberg Code. Ukraine has had way more violations of the Nuremberg Code in the conflict with Russia than Russia with Ukraine. Ukraine is the main violator of the Nuremberg Code. Remember, the Nuremberg Code doesn't say anything about one country going to war with another country. One country going to war with another country is not a violation of the Nuremberg Code. The Nuremberg Code has to do with atrocities that take place within the context of war. And in that context, it's mostly Ukraine that's the violator, not Russia. And I can't talk about the details of Gaza, Israel, because that will get me banned immediately if I actually provided my thoughts on the subject. Russia, Ukraine subject is a little more, you can talk about that one a little more openly. The International Criminal Court, the ICC, putting out an arrest warrant for Putin is a complete joke. It's crazy. First off, Russia is not part of the ICC, so they have no jurisdiction to put out an arrest warrant on Putin. And second, the reasons for why he has an arrest warrant on him, it's just pure politics. Meanwhile, South Africa brought a legitimate case in front of not the ICC, but the international, oh man, I've been on live stream for too long. Which court did the South Africa bring the case? Did you guys watch those videos? Holy shit. It's not the ICC, it's what's the other international court? Not the criminal one, international courts. ICJ, International Court of Justice. There it is. South Africa brought a legitimate case against Israel in the International Court of Justice, and the US is laughing it off. And so does the rest of Europe, by the way. So it's a legitimate case. You should watch the videos from this. Now, this is not a criminal court, and they can't really do anything to Israel if Israel's found guilty of genocide, but it's at least you get to hear the arguments. Well, if you're in the West, you only got to hear the Israeli side of the argument because they didn't air the South African side of the argument. If you go to like Al Jazeera or Russia Today, then you can see both sides of the arguments. And it makes you wonder which news organizations are more free speech, the ones in dictatorships like Middle East and Russia, or the ones in the West, like the freedom of CNN, that only show you one side of a criminal court case. Well, sorry, not a criminal court case. It's not a civil either. I have no idea how to call this. Yeah, the ICJ. So this is the other thing I was going to do. It's going to go to my channel. Go to live videos. What happened to the links? There used to be links up here. Did YouTube remove them? They were super useful. There was a YouTube show that I did about 4 months ago. It involved Roman history. Shit. There it is. 4 months ago, right here. I talked about Russia, Ukraine a lot in this video. Starting right here at the 40-minute mark, a really good discussion begins. And then I get into Russia, Ukraine later. Man, this is loading forever. I'm telling you, when you run Zoom, it just slows everything down. No matter how fast your internet is, everything just slows down. Your whole computer becomes a snail. But I haven't had time to learn a new system yet. I don't know if this is ever going to load, but go find this video. Maybe I'll throw it in the video description. This is a Bart Armstrong post from 2013. I think I credit this post. Look, I credit Bart Armstrong and his blog for altering my knowledge of economics, money. Yeah, so check that out. Okay, strongly recommended. Now, the situation in Russia, Ukraine has slightly changed since that video. This video was 4 months ago, and I talked about all the problems Russia was having with Ukraine. Now that it's been 4 months, they've resolved a lot of those problems. They have achieved significant on-the-ground military victories. And I was dumbfounded 4 months ago. How come Russia still has not taken Avdiivka? And Russia is on the brink of finally taking Avdiivka, something that they probably should have done a year ago, but I understand why it was so challenging for them. So once Russia takes Avdiivka, everything will change. Everything in Ukraine will change. But yeah, watch that video. It was good. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you all for watching, and see you all on the next one. Please subscribe to the Financial Summit social media and YouTube channel. Bye, guys. I didn't actually plan to get into this discussion, but I guess my backdrop is fitting for what we talked about.